Hello, dear students. I hope you are doing well and are safe and sound. So, myself Kavishri Via, your course trainer from Retail Services, and today I'm going to take a session on conversational English. And I'm going to cover the last part of the first unit. So, I hope you all have your textbooks. So, kindly open your books and let's begin with this session. So the key learning objectives of today's class is: first, explain the impact of tone on interpretation of meanings by listeners. Describe the ways for better understanding of your audience. Explain the importance of using the correct intonations in expressing thoughts and feelings. Describe the ways to modulate voice to improve. And last, apply various tones on interpretation of same sentences, which we are going to practice. And also you will get an assignment and you have to submit. Alright students, let's start our class with a very basic example. With this example, you will get an insight to what we are going to learn today. Let's start. So in our daily life, we use few words very frequently while trying to make a conversation. So let's start with a very basic word which we use very frequently. That is okay. Right? This is one kind of word which we use very frequently. Right, guys? So we'll try various tones on this particular word. First is neutral. Okay. Okay. Second, rising. Okay. Okay. Falling. Okay. 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 Which is angry. Last, excited. Okay. So we have used various tones in this particular word. So this is an example which I wanted to share. So this example gives a brief idea of what we are going to learn in the next slides. So moving on to our next slide. So from the previous example, we have seen that from our tone, how your expressions or how your feelings can be expressed, right? If we are happy, we speak in a happy tone. If we are angry, we speak in an angry tone, right? So that is the impact of tone has in expressing your feelings or your emotions. So if we talk in general way, so there is a speaker and there is a listener. The speaker who speaks or who gives the presentation or the delivery, and there is a listener who listens. If we take this class example, I am the speaker, I am giving the presentation and you are my listeners. You are listening to my messages. You are listening my class. So it depends on the listener how he or she perceives the meaning by my tone or how I'm expressing my feelings or my emotions by my tone, right? So the tone in which you speak will determine its meaning perceived by the listeners. It can't be too far-fetched to say that the tone defines our attitude towards the listeners. Yes, true. Suppose I am reading the line like this. The tone in which you speak will determine its meaning perceived by the listeners. There are 8 different tones: serious, condescending, casual, preachy. Example, I like that. So from this tone, you can just analyze that the speaker is not interested, right? The speaker is a lack of interest to give his or her delivery, and the listeners will also lack their attention. So the tone plays a very pivotal role if to captivate your audience, isn't it? If we speak in the same tone from starting of the presentation to the end of the presentation, the listeners will be bored. Means if we are speaking in a monotonous tone, the listeners will of course be bored and they will feel sleepy. Right? I hope your students are not sleepy by listening to my class. I hope not. So there are various tones. Right, so there are various tones which we use in our daily life to express our feelings, our emotions. So if we describe it, there are 8 different tones: serious, condescending, casual, preachy, understanding, formal, informative, and sarcastic. So serious tone. I hope everyone knows what is the meaning of serious tone. Means when you are speaking in a very in a way that is important, in a serious way, if we say, right? Condescending. Okay, this word means patronizing attitude, means showing superiority, means a behavior includes as if the person knows everything and the other person knows nothing. So that means condescending behavior. Casual means friendly or relaxed. The one I'm trying to do right now means I am in a very casual tone, right? Preachy means trying to teach something, such as in a proper or in a moral behavior. Understanding, I hope understanding tone everyone knows, when you are trying to make someone understand. Formal it comes in the serious tone only. When it comes in the official way, when you are trying to talk to a professional, you are using the formal tone, right? Informative means trying to pass the information, when you are trying to provide an information. So that means informative. Sarcastic means it is used in an ironic or satirical remark, which is being used by the humor to mock someone. For example, let's see, if you are struggling or trying to open a door and you ask them, do you want help? And if you get a reply like, no thanks, means it is a sarcasm, right? So in order to understand the impact of tone on meaning of the message, let's consider the below example which I have highlighted. Good luck in trying to pass the exam. So let's try some of the tones from the above tones, and let's try giving different tones for the sentence which will have different meanings. Okay? Let's try serious for this one. Hey, good luck in trying to pass the exam. So that is a serious tone. So if I say sarcastic, how will you speak? Good luck in trying to pass the exam. Means I know you are not willing to wish, but you're just wishing him in a sarcastic way. Casual, whenever you talk to your friends or your peers, you always use the casual tone, right? Hey, good luck in trying to pass the exam. So there are different tones which can be used in this particular sentence and which can have different meanings from your tones, right? If you are speaking in a serious way, if you are speaking in a formal way, means okay, you are seriously wishing the person good luck. And if you're speaking in a casual way, it means you are talking to your friend and you really are wishing him or her good luck in trying to pass the exam. So there are various tones which you can also practice in your homes for this particular sentence. So whenever you give a presentation in front of your audience, you should always make sure that your tones should not be monotonous. The tone should always vary. Suppose you were starting the presentation in a very enthusiasm way, in a very interesting way, but at the end of the presentation you are very tired and you just lack your interest. Then obviously the audience also lose their interest. So it depends on the listeners and how they perceive the message, and also the speaker, how the speaker speaks the message. Right? So practice for this particular line and come up with your own tones, and we shall listen afterwards. Okay? So let's move on to our next slide. Ways for better understanding of your audience. So whenever you are giving a presentation, whenever you are giving a delivery, you should always know who you are addressing to, who your audience is. Right? Remember that just as you adjust your tone according to the meaning of the message which you are trying to convince to the audiences, you must also adjust the tone based on your audience or listeners. Right? I'll explain this sentence by giving an example. For example, if you were to address a group of senior professionals, so you should adopt a more formal and sometimes a humorous tone of voice. Right? On the other hand, if you were to address your peers, you should speak in a more casual tone. And if you are to address a bunch of kids, you should speak in a very casual, in a very playful and a very witty tone. Right? So you should know who your audience is, to whom you are addressing to. Suppose to a bunch of kids you are addressing in a very formal tone. Right? Will they enjoy your speech? Will they enjoy the way of delivery? No, they will get bored. Right? They want a very fun and a very casual tone of voice from you. So likewise, if you are in a board meeting, if you speak funny, if you are in a very casual mode, so what will the professionals think? Right? So you should know, you should adjust your tone according to your audience. So that is why it is very important to know who your audience is. Right? In order to gain a better understanding of your audience, it is very important that you should ask this following questions to yourself. Are your audience educated? What is their educational and career background? What is the average age of the audience? Do they agree or disagree with your point of view? Educational and career background. What industry? Suppose what is their career background? Whether they are from retail industry, whether they are from healthcare industry, whether they are students from art stream, whether they are students from science stream. What is the average age? Whether they are very senior professionals, whether they are of your same age, whether they are very young to you, and most importantly, whether they agree or disagree with your point of view. You should know to answer of these questions. So these questions help in better understanding your audiences. And you must adjust your tone according to the type of audience that you are addressing, as I have already said. Right? And most importantly, the tone should vary during the conversation. For what? To avoid boring your audience with a monotonous tone. Your tone should vary. It should not be a monotonous tone. Right? So let's move to our next slide then. I think we have studied a lot. What about watching a video? Right? So come on. Let's watch a video in our next slide.
यहाँ तो बोलते कुछ हैं पर मतलब कुछ और निकलता है। एक एक शब्द के चार चार मतलब ऐसे मुंडी हिलाओ और बोलो अच्छा है मतलब सब ठीक ठाक है, वेरी गुड। आंख बड़ी करके बोलो अच्छा है तो मतलब साख में है। तुम्हारी अम्मा का एक्सीडेंट हो गया, अच्छा साफ। फिर गुस्सा आता है तो आवाज लॉर्ड हो जाती है, अच्छा हमको सिखा रिया है। अच्छा
So that was really a funny video, right? It is from the movie PK. I guess everybody has watched this movie. The word acha is so beautifully explained by Amir Khan. So there are so many different ways, different tones to express your feelings or emotions, isn't it? So it is on the listener how they perceive it. So coming to the next slide. Explain the importance of using the correct intonations in expressing thoughts and feelings. So, what is intonation? Intonation refers to the rise and fall in the voice of a person. Remember the first example which I have given with the word okay? I have changed the tones of the word okay in so many different ways, right? The rise, the falling of the tone. So, the rising and falling of in the voice of a person refers to intonation. Using intonation correctly shows to the listeners that the speaker is confident in what he or she thinks or feels. Without intonation, our voice will fail to give attention to the audiences. No one would like to listen to a speaker that maintain a bland voice, right? With not rise or fall in the sound of voice. Means if we continue to speak in the same tone without the rising or falling of the voice, the tone of the voice, then the audience will lose their interest and they will leave. They won't try to listen to you. The tone should vary to excite the audiences. A speaker's voice just communicates message to the listeners, whereas the tone on the other hand adds passion and feeling to the message, isn't it? Through your tone, you can express your feelings and your emotions, whether you are angry, whether you are pleasant, whether you're feeling upset, whether you're feeling irritated, whether you're feeling friendly, or whether you are frustrated. All these kind of emotions, all these kinds of thoughts and feelings can be expressed in your tone, isn't it? So before speaking, you must determine how you want your audience to feel when listening to the message. For example, if you are going to present a presentation in front of the audience, do you want your audience to feel mad or get mad by hearing your message? No, right? You want to make them feel happy. You want to make them interested to hearing your message. So, you should know how to use your intonation and how to consciously adopt the tone that is likely to elicit a positive response, right? So now let's move to the next slide. Describe the ways to modulate voice to improve. So in this slide we are going to learn about 4 different ways to modulate voice to improve. The first one, volume. Volume of the voice is one of the most important aspects of oral communication, isn't it? You need to modulate the volume according to the scenario or according to the situation. For example, if you are addressing a large crowd, it's important that you speak in a voice it's louder, that is audible to everyone. On the other hand, if you are talking to your partner, you should speak in a voice that can be heard by both the individuals. Suppose if there is a person just right in front of you and you started speaking in a louder voice, the other person will think, what is wrong with me, right? So you should know the situation or the type of scenario where you are in, and according to that you should speak to someone. The volume along with the pitch and tone must vary during the presentation to avoid losing interest of the audience. So in this book, there is an example which is given. I didn't tell the teacher that you had done it. I want you all students just to practice this particular line in various ways of voice. Suppose in a louder voice, the tone might come out in a different way, in a whispering voice. Okay, so practice it in your home. The next one, projection. An important aspect of the voice is how you project it to the listeners, how you present it to the listeners. You should be able to project your voice in a way that is audible to everyone. Remember that speaking louder does not mean that you have a powerful voice. In order to project the voice, you need to focus on three things: the correct posture, the proper breathing, and resonance. What is resonance? Resonance refers to the reverberation of the voice. Means a strong voice has plenty of mass resonance, which refers to voice that resonates in front of the face. No matter how loud or low the voice is, the voice will not be heard correctly until it has strong mass resonance. Okay, next one, speak with energy and passion. The more energetic and passionate you feel about the topic, the more projected your voice will become when you're addressing the audience. Suppose you got a topic and you had no idea about the topic, so you will just stand there. We won't be able to speak. You won't be able to project your voice, right? So it will not be an interesting one. So speak with energy and passion shows that you know about the topic, you have detailed description about the topic. The next one, intonation and tonal variation. This we have already understood in the previous slide, right? How you should vary your tones. The tones should always vary to maintain the interest of the audience. As I've already said, if you have a very classy presentation, but if you just read out the presentation, if you just read out the slides from the presentation, you will lose the interest of the audience. You should know how to captivate your audience. So intonation refers to the pattern of rising or falling pitch, either at the start or at the end of the presentation. Without intonation, your speech will sound bland. Yes, your speech will be monotonous. So you should practice changing tone in appropriate situations to gain fluency in the language. In English fluency, if you are trying to gain fluency in speaking, you should try to practice changing your intonations and you should try to change your tone variation. It gives a right impact in your delivery. It gives a right impact to your speech. Okay, so practice speaking. You can just daily in front of the mirror take out any paragraph, take out any lines. It can be dramatic lines, it can be a serious lines. Practice in your tone how you can change the variations of the lines. Practice and you can gain fluency from that. The next one. The fourth one, articulation of vowel and consonant sounds. In phonetics, vowels are sounds that are produced without any constriction in the vocal tract, while consonants are sounds that are produced by the constriction in the mouth. If we say there are 5 vowels and the rest are consonants, right? But no, in English language, there are a total of 44 vowel and consonant sounds. So learning how to pronounce the vowels and consonants is very important to sound fluent in English. It affects what impression you make on the audiences. So here examples been given. Try to pronounce words correctly in various accents. Suppose you got a new word. So try to pronounce that word in various accents with the help of Google. I think I have already discussed in my last class. I hope you remember. So moving on. Yeah, that is our last slide. Thank you. I hope you have enjoyed and understood my presentation. In case of any queries, in case of any doubts, you can just call me or text me. I'll be very happy to answer your doubts. Thank you.